The Dream Chaser and her fleet depart from the Grey Havens in search of the island from Calfon's dreams. Only a week out from the coast, the black sails of Corsair ships can be seen in pursuit. Hello, and welcome back to the Line Unbroken, my progression-style playthrough series of the Lord of the Rings living card game. I'm playing the first quest from the Grey Havens deluxe expansion, Voyage Across Belegaer. Finally back to standard difficulty after over a year of doing Nightmare. So, here we are for the Grey Havens. Okay, yes, I did not take a mulligan for this deck. As of this exact second, I don't remember precisely what is in this deck and therefore what I should be mulliganing for, but I feel like a Gondorian Shield and an Errand Rider are both reasonable things to start with. Over here, since I have Galdor of the Havens, response, after drawing your setup hand, instead of taking a mulligan, you may discard any number of cards from your hand, then draw that many cards. I will definitely be doing this. So, there's not a lot of point in discarding Daeron's Runes to draw a card, since it itself is free and draws 2 cards, and discards 1. The Evening Star, however, I definitely want to get the first copy into my discard pile, and the Elven Jeweler is not so immediately useful. I think I only have 2 copies of Naya, and it's somewhat useful, so that I should hold on to. I could consider discarding the second Elven Jeweler as well. They're not particularly great allies, but they can be cheap since I can play them just by discarding cards. I think I'll leave it at that. I'll just discard the 2 and draw 2. Okay. So, set up, prepare the Corsair deck, which is here. And the Corsair deck should have its own discard pile here. We actually have rules cards here, ship enemies, ship objectives. The Corsair deck is a separate deck made up of the non-ship enemies, which are only revealed through card abilities such as the boarding keyword. I will keep these. Well, no, I think I should be able to remember what everything does. If I do need to check those rules, I can pull them out of the victory display. But now, okay, players prepare their fleet. So this means, okay, here is the heading card, which I'm going to rotate back round to the best heading. Of course, if I mouse over it, it only displays it in this orientation, so I have to actually look at how it is in the small version. But I can see that it is at the best heading. Handily, there is this little arrow here between the best heading and the worst heading, which makes it easier to keep track of. And so, of course, I can rotate it using F8 and F9. This is technically supposed to be attached to the Dream Chaser, but I find it easier to just keep it separately in its own space. So yes, preparing the fleet basically means each deck chooses one of these ships. One deck has to take the Dream Chaser. If you're playing solo, you actually get 2 ships, even though you only have 1 deck. Though one of those ships, again, has to be the Dream Chaser. It is potentially useful to have the second deck take the Dream Chaser, because the Dream Chaser, well, all of the ships are Sentinel, I'll point that out now. Silverwing is also ranged. The Dream Chaser, they all have pretty great stats, they're all immune to player card effects. The Dream Chaser's special ability is the Dream Chaser can always be committed to sailing tests, even if you are not the first player, and counts as 2 characters when committed to a sailing test. If the Dream Chaser is destroyed, the players lose the game. So the thing is, it's potentially helpful, therefore, to give the Dream Chaser to the second deck, because then the first deck can still use the Dream Chaser to count as characters towards the sailing test, and by the time it gets to the second deck, they've had 2 rounds in which to play additional allies rather than only 1 for the first deck before making a sailing test. So that's what I'm going to do. Dream Chaser is going to go with this deck, and this deck is going to take the Dawn Star. I will probably try to make use of these other 2 ships in other sailing quests. For the moment, I'm just going to stick them in the victory display. Now the Dawn Star, raise your starting threat by 3. Draw 1 additional card during the resource phase. If the Dawn Star is destroyed, its controller is eliminated from the game. That's the same on all of them except the Dream Chaser, which causes all players to lose the game if it's destroyed. But the Dawn Star, of course, goes kind of interestingly along with Círdan the Shipwright, who draws 1 additional card at the beginning of the resource phase, and forced after drawing cards at the beginning of the resource phase, choose and discard 1 of those cards. So usually you draw 2 cards and then discard 1. With the Dawn Star as well, you draw 3 cards and then discard 1. So, I have prepared my fleet. Shuffle each stage 2 card in the quest deck so that their order is random, leaving stage 3 on the bottom. Search the encounter deck for 1 copy of Rolling Seas and 1 copy of Scouting Ship and add them to the staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. Rolling Seas is here. 4 threat, 3 quest points. Travel. Shift your heading off course to travel here. This is, of course, the crucial mechanic of the sailing quests, is this heading. Whether you are on course or off course affects a lot of the other encounter cards, such as Scouting Ship. Boarding 1 cannot have attachments, gets -15 engagement cost while you are off course. So I also need to sort out the quest deck here, so I'm just going to grab stage 3, put it on the table, and shuffle all of these stage 2s and put stage 3 back on the bottom. Sailing. While you are on course, each ship objective gets +2 willpower. When this stage is defeated, if you are on course, look at the top 2 stages of the quest deck and advance to one of your choice, placing the other on the bottom of the quest deck. Otherwise, advance to the top stage of the quest deck. And this has 3 victory points. So we can cycle through these quest stages. They all have victory points except the final one. And this does mean that while it's possible for us to kind of go around in circles to some extent, we can't go back to a stage that we've already been to. So let us begin the game. Control N. And of course I draw 2 additional cards because of Círdan and the Dawn Star. I will, since I already have Arwen in my hand, I will discard her. And what did I draw over here? A Nath Guide. Okay. Now let's play Daeron's Runes. Draw 2. Discard A Good Harvest. And Daeron's Runes again. Draw 2. Discard Elwing's Flight. Okay, so I have not found the card I most wanted to find, which is To the Sea, to the Sea. I should probably save for a test of will, which would mean I can't play any of these allies. I could put the Elven Jeweler into play by discarding cards. Actually, I am going to check how many copies of Naya I have in this deck. I do actually have the document for the blog posts open. Yes, 2 copies of Naya. So that being the case, I probably don't want to discard Naya. Without To the Sea, it's going to be difficult to play Gildor, so he could be a reasonable thing to discard. I would like to hold on to this Master of the Forge. I could maybe lose a Sailor of Loon. Yeah, I'm going to discard Gildor and a Sailor of Loon to put the Elven Jeweler into play. And that's going to be all of the planning for this deck. Over here, I think I am going to start by playing Errand Rider, a Mariner's Compass onto the Errand Rider, and Gondorian Shield. Mariner's Compass, of course, attaches to a leadership or scout character. The Errand Rider is a leadership character, so he is eligible. I mean, this possibly isn't the best place to put it, but it's reasonable. It gives me flexibility. If I don't need to use the compass, I can transfer resources, or vice versa. If I don't need to transfer resources, I can use the compass. So, there is 6 threat in the staging area, but first, this quest has the sailing keyword, which means at the start of the quest phase, before committing characters to the quest, we make a sailing test. Technically, I shift the heading off course, and then commit to the sailing test, which means I exhaust characters and then look at cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of characters I just exhausted. So of course the Dream Chaser can be exhausted for sailing tests even when it's controlled by not the first player, as in this case. So I will do that, and it counts as 2. It is the bomber of ships, and I will also exhaust the Elven Jeweler, and hopefully 3 cards should be enough. 1, 2, 3. Yep, so both of these cards have this little ship's wheel in the bottom left corner, which counts as a success on the sailing test. So I shift my heading back on course by a number of turns equal to the number of wheels I saw. In this case, it would be 2, but since I was only 1 step off course in the first place, I can't get any better than this. This is fine though. This means I am on course, so each ship objective gets +2 willpower. That's unlikely to be relevant because the Dream Chaser is already exhausted for the sailing test, and the Dawn Star I think I would like to keep ready in case I want to engage a ship. As ship enemies their attacks can only be defended by ship objectives. So, 6 threat in the staging area. We will quest for 4, 8, 10, 13. Let's leave it at that. That seems fine. I can discard to Eowyn if need be. Right. Winds of Wrath. When revealed, if you are off course, deal 1 damage to each character in play. If your heading is at the worst setting, this effect cannot be cancelled. Since I am not off course, I am on course, this actually does nothing at all. Completely whiffs. Second card of staging, Corsair Warship. Boarding 3 cannot have attachments. While Corsair Warship is in the staging area, it cannot be damaged and gains Archery 4. Well, that is certainly going to be a problem. But right now it's just 3 threat. So I make 4 progress. That should be fine for the moment. Now in the travel phase, I could just travel to the rolling seas. The travel cost is to shift your heading off course, which would mean I would have to engage the scouting ship, since it gets minus 15 engagement cost while you are off course. On the other hand, the Mariner's Compass. Response: at the beginning of the travel phase, exhaust Mariner's Compass and attached character to search the top 5 cards of the encounter deck for a location. Switch that location with a location in the staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. The beginning of the travel phase is, of course, before you actually get your opportunity to travel. I'm going to do this. I exhaust the Errand Rider and the Mariner's Compass. Look at the top 5 cards of the encounter deck. Okay, so locations in here. There is another copy of Rolling Seas, There is also a fog bank. While fog bank is the active location, ship enemies do not make engagement checks, cannot attack, and cannot be attacked. I'm going to put the fog bank in the staging area with the Mariner's Compass, and put the Rolling Seas back into the encounter deck, and then shuffle the encounter deck. And then I will travel to the fog bank. So, ship enemies do not make engagement checks, cannot attack, and cannot be attacked. And the scouting ship does not have minus 15 engagement cost. That being the case, I think I'm still going to engage it, just to get it out of the staging area. And because while it does not make engagement checks, I can still optionally engage. So, I engage the scouting ship, which means I ready Sam, since its engagement cost is above my threat. I add a resource to Mablung, and I may as well ready my Errand Rider. I suppose I can move the resource off of Mablung. That's from Faramir, of course. The boarding keyword now triggers, which means I reveal the top card of the Corsair deck, which of course is here. I'll just make sure it's shuffled. And Control-Shift-E. This Vicious Marauder. So, forced when Vicious Marauder engages you, discard a random card from your hand and place resources on it equal to that card's printed cost. And forced when Vicious Marauder attacks you, distribute damage among characters you control equal to the number of resources on it. Okay, so, random discard. Warden of the Havens, I'll just move him to the correct discard pile, so that's 2. 2 resources go on the Vicious Marauder. Now we deal shadow cards. The scouting ship still gets a shadow card, even though it cannot attack because of the fog bank. But this is why I did this. This is a perfect opportunity for me to deal with the Vicious Marauder who came to play from the boarding keyword without actually needing to do anything about the ship. That said, I can only deal with this Marauder if I take him... Well, I can only kill the Marauder if I take him undefended, which I can probably do. I think I will take the risk just to try and get a strong start here. So I'll take him undefended. Oh, sorry. The Corsair warship has Archery 4 while it's in the staging area. I will assign that 1, 2, 3, 4. Over here, when Vicious Marauder attacks you, I have to assign 2 damage. I'm going to put 1 damage on the Dream Chaser and 1... I'm just going to put both points of damage on the Dream Chaser. It has 18 hit points, and I don't expect it to be defending very often. So I take this undefended. It's a risk, but attacking enemy gets... Okay, right. Plus 2 attack instead of you control an exhausted ship objective, so I should have not taken this risk. And in fact, I'm about to kill a hero and should probably just start again. That was probably not the smartest idea on my part. I figured... I don't remember how many attack boosts there actually are in the shadow effects in this quest. But I figured, obviously, if I had successfully taken this undefended, then Sam is boosted, of course. I could have attacked for 6, taken this out, and had a fairly clear board state. But it didn't work out. On the other hand, this is very early in the quest, so I don't mind resetting as much. So, back in a minute. Alright, so this time round, this opening hand looks pretty good. Gondorian Shield, Calon Archers, Mariner's Compass, Skyward Volley. I can probably discard to AoE at some point. We're not idle. This hand, I definitely don't want to start with 2 Explorer's Almanacs, but starting with 1 is fine. I'm going to discard that one. I obviously want to keep to the sea, and probably Elrond's Council. Let's discard one Sailor of Loon. Arwen is pretty good. I have 2 copies of her in the deck. I could consider discarding 1 copy of Arwen, since Sentinel is not necessarily essential, but I think I'll hold on to her and just... So I've discarded 2 cards to Galdor. I draw 2 more. That's great. I found Elven Light. I'm of course doing the same thing with regards to my ships. Stick the rest of these in the victory display. Flip this over. And we begin again. Control N. And the first deck, of course, draws 3 cards and discards 1. I'll discard Elwing's Flight. Okay, so I'm going to play this Explorer's Almanac onto the Rolling Seas. Attached to the location in the staging area, progress from questing successfully may be placed on the attached location before it is placed on the current quest. Now... Okay, so, in fact, I think I probably just play Light of Valinor and leave it at that. Unless I want to risk going without a test of will for the first round. Because, of course, I could play to the sea and use it to discard Elven Light and reduce the cost of one of these 2-cost spirit allies to 1. And then play that ally, but then I would not have a spirit resource available for a test of will. It's probably safer to just not, so I will instead play Light of Valinor. Actually, hang on, I will check what did this deck draw, and these We're Not Idols are events, so I can play them before this deck actually does its planning. Sneak attack and a feint. Okay. Yes, I will do this then. Had I drawn an Errand Rider, then of course I could have played the Errand Rider and used it to move a resource over to this deck, so I would still have the resource for a test of will, even after playing an ally, but as it is, that's not the case. I think here I will play the Gondorian Shield onto Mablung. Maybe this time I'll actually use it. On the other hand, maybe this time I won't engage the scouting ship. So I think that's going to be it. There is 6 threat in the staging area. So once again I would like to exhaust 3 characters, so I will send Galdor as well as the Dream Chaser. And 3 cards. Okay, so in fact 4 ship's wheels there. So yes, technically I go off course and then go back on course. Usually I just do the sailing test and only take myself off course if I have failed the test. So, yes, 6 threat in the staging area. I can, of course, discard to Eowyn. I can play Elrond's Council. I quest for 4, 8, 11. Probably not going to be able to kill anything. So, 13. Hold back Mablung in case I want to defend something. This should be okay. And we reveal. Boarding Party. Each player reveals the top card of the Corsair deck and puts it into play engaged with him. I think I would rather not right now, so I'm going to cancel that. And Water Spout. While your head is at the worst setting, when faced with the option to travel, the players must travel to Waterspout if able, and forced after travelling to Waterspout deal 4 damage to each ship objective. Well, that's only 2 threat added, so we make 5 progress. And of course, per the Explorer's Almanac, I can put some of it on the Rolling Seas instead of the quest. Or, well... Yeah, I don't know if you have the option to split your progress or if you just make the decision specifically to go Rolling Seas first and then quest second. Doesn't matter in this case because I just want to explore the Rolling Seas, which will eat up 3 of my progress, leaving 5 more. No, sorry, it will eat up 3 of my progress, leaving 2 more out of the 5. So I definitely can't advance the quest, as useful as that might have been. I suppose I could have sent the Dawn Star on the quest, but it's fine. Yes, actually, if I were to not trigger the Explorer's Almanac, I'm making 5 progress. I could have both decks discard to Eowyn. No, this deck should have +3 threat from the Dawn Star. And so both decks could discard to Eowyn, and I could play this Elrond's Council, thus boosting my willpower by 3, so I would make 8 progress and immediately advance to the next quest stage. I'm just not sure if I want to do that. I think maybe I should hang around on stage 1 for a bit longer before adding more cards. So we'll just take 2 progress here and explore the Rolling Seas with the Explorer's Almanac. And I think I will just travel to the water spout and deal the damage. This is fine. And on this occasion, I think I will not engage the scouting ship. We can just leave it there for a while longer. So Control N. And of course this deck draws 2 additional cards and then discards 1. I will discard a Good Harvest. And over here, okay, we drew Anchor Watch. Probably want to discard that to Eowyn at some point. I am short on allies, unfortunately. I have these 2 Galvan archers, but I can't actually afford them because I spent one of Mavlung's resources last round on the Gondorian shield and I haven't engaged anything. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but we'll just have to deal with it. That basically means I can't really play anything. I could play the Mariner's Compass, but I don't really want to put it on a hero. I want to put it on an ally whose actions are more expendable. So, since I only have 2 lore resources, I may as well play Asphalloth. I'll just put it on Galdor. And then I will also play To the Sea, onto Círdan, and exhaust To the Sea and discard X cards from your hand to reduce the cost of the next Noldor ally played this phase by X to a minimum of 1. So I will exhaust it and discard Elven Light. I'm just going to put it on the table so it's available when I want to pull it back. I'll put it here, in fact. And so now the next Noldor ally I play has its cost reduced by 1. So do I want a Sailor of Lune or Arwen? Since the top card of my discard pile is an event, they are both the same willpower. The Sailor of Lune gets +1 willpower, while the top card of your discard pile is an event, and he cannot be damaged while committed to the quest. On the other hand, Arwen gives that nice defense and sentinel boost. Though I don't know if that will be relevant. I suppose I may as well go for Arwen first anyway. And I can play the Sailor next round. So, sailing test. I will send the Dream Chaser. There's 2 characters. And I guess I'll send Faramir. So we look at 3 cards, and there we go, there's a wheel. So I am successful, which means I am still on course, technically back on course. And now quest 3, 5, targeting Mablung until I say otherwise. 7, 11, 15. This should be fine. 15 against 2. And we reveal Rolling Seas and Calm Waters. While Calm Waters is the active location, look at 2 additional cards from the top of the encounter deck during each sailing test. That's very nice to see. So 5 threat added. So 7 threat, I'm making 8 progress. 4 here, 4 here. If I can make 2 more progress, then I will advance the quest. I will play Elrond's Council, since I wanted to drop my threat anyway. So that gets me 1 more. Now I could do 1 discard to Éowyn. I think I will discard Skyward Volley to boost Éowyn. So now I'm making 10 progress. 4 and 6. So this is explored. This goes to the victory display, and since I am on course, I look at the top 2 stages of the quest deck and advance to one of my choice, placing the other on the bottom. I forgot to sort out the quest deck at the start, so let's just do that now. Stage 3 is taken out. We shuffle all the stage 2s. And okay, so my 2 choices are search the encounter deck and discard pile for 1 copy of Scouting Ship and add it to the staging area, or search the encounter deck and discard pile for 1 copy of Water Spout and add it to the staging area. Neither of these is really what I would call ideal. But I think I will take this one, the Scouting Ship, rather than the Water Spout. The Water Spout, I was okay with going to 1. Going to a second one, the damage is starting to mount up on my ships. Whereas a Scouting Ship, there's a decent chance I can just leave them in the staging area and ignore them forever, so long as I stay on course. And then we flip this over. Sailing. While you are off course, each ship enemy gains boarding 1. When this stage is defeated, if you are on course, look at the top 2 stages, same thing again. So now I'm going to exhaust Asphalloth to place 1 progress on the Rolling Seas and travel to the Calm Waters. I think I still do not want to engage either of these scouting ships, so we'll just Control N, draw the 2 additional cards, discard to the sea, and over here, okay, finally another ally that I can play. So over here, Naya would be good, Sailor of Loon would be good, Master of the Forge would be good. I suppose Naya would not do that much for me right now. I can also play Elven Light to pull it back to my hand and draw a card. But actually, I'm not sure I want to do that right now. I think I'm going to use to the sea, discard the Linden Navigator, so I can pay 1 for the Master of the Forge. No, actually, I may want to sail with the Master of the Forge. Now I'm going to pay the full cost of 2 for the Sailor of Loon, and that'll be it. Over here, pay 2 for the Envoy of Belegaer, add the resource back to Círdan, since he is a noble. Pay 2 for a Galadhon Archer, deal 1 damage to the scouting ship. And that'll be that. So now sailing. I will sail with the Master of the Forge. And with the Dream Chaser. Still 3 characters. And there is a wheel there on the first card. So I am still on course. There is 8 threat. So I quest for 4, 8, 10, 12, 13 at the moment. The top card of my discard pile is a Linden Navigator. 16. 16 seems fine. Oh, I forgot. Calm Waters. I got to look at 2 additional cards. So that being the case, I will not use the Dream Chaser to sail. I will just send the Master of the Forge plus the 2 additional cards from Calm Waters, and it'll come to the same thing. So, that means I could quest with the Dream Chaser. It does have 5 willpower, but I think I should be fine, and I might want the combat stats for dealing with one of these scouting ships. So, yes, 16 willpower, 8 threat. Rough Waters. While it's in the staging area, cancel the first wheel symbol found during each sailing test. And Boarding Party. Each player reveals the top card of the Corsair deck and puts it into play engaged with him. Well, I don't have a test of will this time, so... Okay, while Southern Sailor is engaged with you, each ship enemy engaged with you contributes its threat to the total threat in the staging area. Fortunately, neither deck is engaged with any ships. This is too low an engagement cost to ready Sam, and my allies are already ready, but I can add a resource to Mablon. So, the only threat I've added to the staging area is the 2 from the Rough Waters. I will exhaust Asphalt to put a progress on the Rolling Seas. Next round I can just get rid of it. If I could get 2 more progress, which I could, via discards, I could pull Elven Light back to my hand and discard it again. I could advance the quest again, but once again, I'm not entirely certain that I want to do that. I might like to try and clear out a bit more of what I'm dealing with. On the other hand, maybe not. Maybe I'm fine just questing as fast as possible. It's somewhat of a viable strategy in this quest to just sprint to the finish. So, okay, maybe we'll see how this goes. I'll play Elven Light. Okay, Elven Jeweler. And then I discard Elven Light, adding 1 willpower to Eowyn and 1 willpower to the Sailor of Loon, because the top card of my discard pile is now in event. So I make 8 progress. 4 explores the Calm Waters, and 4 explores Calfon's Divination. Since I am on course, I look at the top 2 stages of the quest deck and advance to one of my choice. So, 2 more stage 2s. When revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for 1 copy of Fog Bank. And this one is 1 copy of Starlit Sea. Let me just remind myself. I think the Starlit Sea raises your threat as a travel cost. Yes. 3 threat, 2 quest points. While you're off course, it raises your threat as a travel cost. On the other hand, the Fog Bank could actually be pretty useful for just continuing to ignore all of the ships. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm okay with these. Oh, I completely forgot to actually read the flavor text here. Calfon bursts into one of the hero's quarters in the middle of the night, sweating profusely and breathing heavily. "I saw it again!" he cries. It was the same island as before, only the... Sorry, my computer just My laptop just reminded me that it was not actually plugged in. It was the same island as before, only the sun was rising behind it, bathing the sky in orange. It must be to the east. You can change course to follow Calfon's vision, but you risk being discovered by the Corsairs chasing you. So yeah, I think I'm going to go to Cursed Mists. Put this one to the bottom. After days of aimless travel at sea, a dark mist settles along the ocean's surface, obscuring your visibility and frightening your ship's crew. Wait, I remember now, Calfon says. This happened in my dream too. I think if we find a way through this mist, we shall be one step closer to the island. Sailing. While you're off course, each non-ship ally gets -2 willpower. When this stage is defeated, if you are on course, look at the top 2 stages and advance to one of your choice, and so on. That doesn't really matter because the next stage is stage 3. There are only 4 stage 2s, so if you stay on course, you look at 2 of them, and then you look at 2 of them, and then you go to stage 3. Unless you want to just keep cycling through the quest deck. In which case, I suppose you could choose to go to one of the other stage 2 quest cards that you put to the bottom of the quest deck. Anyway, yes, I need to actually get the Fog Bank out of the encounter deck. It doesn't have a wheel on it, so yeah, I'll take it out of the encounter deck. And shuffle. However, I think I should travel to the rough waters, because they have that negative effect while they're in the staging area. I don't think I really need to engage a scouting ship right now. I'll just deal shadow cards. And okay, so there's... Oh no, Faramir is also ranged, so if I were to take this undefended, I could kill the Southern Sailor. Then I couldn't kill this Southern Sailor, so it's probably better to kill this one first. So I'll just defend this one with Círdan. Excess damage from this attack is dealt to a ship objective you control. There is no excess damage, 2 attack, 2 defense. Mablung can defend this one. If this deals damage to a ship objective, shift your heading off course. Okay, and then I attack for 2, 3, 5. And the Corsair deck, of course, has its own discard pile, so shift delete to discard it to the Corsair deck discard pile and not the encounter deck discard pile. Control N. Draw 2 additional cards. I'm going to discard the Master of the Forge in this instance. I think 1 Master of the Forge is enough. Okay, Sneak Attack Gandalf, very useful. Let's play another Galvan Archer, deal another point of damage to the same scouting ship as before. If I engage something, I will still get the resource for a feint. So that's fine. And I guess that's it. I have the Sneak Attack Gandalf available. Over here, let's Master of the Forge and not find any attachments. Okay. But I do already have Naya in my hand. I would like to keep a resource for a test of will. No, actually, Naya could be significant in this instance because some of these allies may be sailing. It would be nice to be able to ready them again afterwards. I'm just going to, right now, use Asphalloth to explore the rolling seas in the staging area. Is there already an Elwing's fight in the discard pile? There is. So I would get to resolve it twice. This is one of the interesting events from the Grey Havens box, which have the text resolve that effect again for each copy of whatever the event is currently in your discard pile. You may choose different targets. There's one for each sphere. Okay, so yeah, basically it comes to this. Do I want to play Naya, or do I want to get the Elven Jeweler into play, basically? Because if I want the Elven Jeweler, then I pull Elven Light back to my hand, discard Elven Light and probably Elwing's Flight to put the Elven Jeweler into play, and then I do not play Naya. Or I play Naya, and then that's it, because I want to save a resource for Test of Will. I think I'll just play Naya. So, there is 6 threat in the staging area. I have to do sailing first. So at this point, actually, I might... My willpower is pretty solid, I think, so... I'm going to... I'll go up to 4 characters. And... yeah, okay, that's fine. We are still on course. So now I can quest with the Dream Chaser. 5, 8, 10, 11, 13, 17, 21. And we reveal Sudden Storms. When revealed, either shift your heading off course or deal 1 damage to each exhausted character. Or I could play a Test of Will. And Winds of Wrath, if you are off course, which I am not. So it does nothing. So no threat added to the staging area. I make 15 progress. And this is explored. This goes to the victory display, and I will, of course, choose to advance to stage 3. Calphon insists you are very close to finding the island, but Corsairs still shadow your fleet. You must either fight them or outpace them before you can reach the island and weigh anchor. When revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for the ship enemy with the highest threat and add it to the staging area. 2 ship enemies with the highest threat instead if there are 3 or more players in the game. Shuffle the encounter deck. So, let's see what is actually in the encounter deck right now. There's a scouting ship and a Corsair warship. Neither of them has a shadow effect, which is the crucial thing I wanted to check. Is there anything higher threat? Yes, the light cruiser in the discard pile is higher threat. So we get a light cruiser. Sailing. You cannot place progress on Corsair pursuit unless you are on course. If there are no ship enemies in play, you have defeated your pursuers and win the game. If this stage has 10 or more progress on it, you have lost your pursuers and win the game. So we have these dual win conditions. I am going to just quest to victory, because it's just been easier to leave the ships in the staging area. I can continue to leave the ships in the staging area. I'm going to travel to the fog bank just to be sure. Actually, no. The fog bank is more quest points than it is threats. So if I just want to quest to victory, it's easier to leave it in the staging area. I should shuffle this 2-card encounter deck. So yeah, I leave the fog bank in the staging area, and then if something goes wrong and next round I would be forced to engage one of the ships, then I can travel to the fog bank so that I don't have to. That said, do I want to engage this scouting ship that has 2 damage on it? I mean, I did choose to quest with the Dream Chaser, partly anticipating just not dealing with it, but on the other hand, it would take threat out of the staging area. I could trigger Sam, Faramir, and Mablon. I would have a feint available if need be. I'm going to take this one scouting ship. If nothing else, it allows me to actually show off some of these mechanics. So, boarding 1, Control-Shift-E. Cunning Pirate. It's +1 attack and +1 defense for each resource on it. Forced when Cunning Pirate engages you, discard an attachment you control and place resources on Cunning Pirate equal to that attachment's printed cost. Well, so much for my Gondorian shield. That still only gives him 3 attack, and Mablung is still 3 defense, thanks to Arwen. So, okay. We deal out shadow cards. There are no shadow effects, of course. Run out the encounter deck. So the Southern Sailor doesn't even get a shadow card. Now, let's see. I do, of course, have that feint. I also have sneak attack Gandalf. Yeah, so... let's see. Well, I may as well use the Dawn Star to defend against the scouting ship. The Dawn Star cannot do anything else. Ships cannot attack enemies that aren't ships. So, Dawn Star takes 1 damage. And then I can feint. Let's see, how much damage can I do? Sam is currently 2 attack. I also have the option of Naya, of course, readying these 2 allies probably to attack for more. It takes 7 to kill the Cunning Pirate, or 7 to kill the scouting ship. Which could be 2, 5, 7. Would allow me to do one of them, but not the other. Now, of course, I also have this Anchor Watch, which is an interesting card. It would be the first one, so I would only get to resolve the effect once. It allows me to declare an exhausted character as the defender. So essentially, a bit of extra action advantage. I'm not sure if it's really that important, though. So, no, let's just feint. And Mablung is a sentinel thanks to Arwen, so he will defend this. I'll exhaust Círdan and Naya to ready these 2 allies with +1 attack and defense each. And then let's get rid of the ship. Attacking for 7, and Sam attacks for 2, which is not enough to do anything to the pirate. Oh no, wait, I was going to sneak attack Gandalf. That was... yes. No, okay, so I sneak attack Gandalf as well. This was part of the plan. Probably just draw cards or drop my threat. No, hang on. Let me just... okay, no. So... let me think about this. I could pull back that feint and have Gandalf do a defense and have him readied with Naya. He would be 5 attack. So then I go 2, 5, 7 to kill the ship. Gandalf is 5, which is still only 2 damage. I mean, it's still better than nothing, I suppose. I'll just draw 3 cards. Gandalf, Gandalf, and Mariner's Compass. Gandalf comes back to my hand. And Control N. Draw extra cards. Here I will discard the Linden Navigator. And here I've got an Errand Rider. Let's use the Master of the Forge. And grab this spare copy of Narya. So, okay. Let's see. I will discard... hang on. Actually, I should think this through sequentially. Yeah, okay, so if I discard Naya and an Elven Jeweler to put an Elven Jeweler into play, pay 1 for Elven Light. Hang on, did I remember to actually discard for Círdan? Yes, I discarded the Linden Navigator. That's fine. Right, so now I play Elven Light, draw another card. Exhaust to the sea, discarding Elwing's Flight and Elven Light. So it only costs me 1 to play Lindir. After Lindir enters play, if you have less than 3 cards in your hand, draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. So I draw 2 more cards. Okay. Now over here, let's see, I'm going to play an Errand Rider. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Gandalf. And let's just drop my threat down to 28. Now, over here, okay, sailing. Of course, we will be reshuffling the encounter deck. My willpower is pretty great, so I think it's fine for me to lose the 5 from the Dream Chaser. So we'll go for 4 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's fine. So I am on course. I'm going to discard this Sailor of Loon to increase Éowyn's willpower and play these 2 copies of Elrond's Council, dropping my threat by 6 and adding 2 more points of willpower. Then I will trigger Galdor's action. If you have no cards in your hand, draw 6 cards. Limit once per game. Okay, I'll play Daeron's Runes and discard Light of Valinor and play Daeron's Runes and discard the Evening Star, and now I have a Test of Will, so I will exhaust an Errand Rider to move a resource to Círdan. There we go. Okay, so I discarded to Éowyn and played 2 copies of Elrond's Council, so that's 3 willpower, 7, 11, 13, 15, 17, 20, 24. How does a 24 willpower sound? There is this accurate? There is... There's 8 threat in the staging area. So that would give me a buffer of 6. I may as well go for more at this point. That would be another 5. Sure, 29 against 8. And we reveal boarding party. Okay, that doesn't stop me winning, so... Right, this one is discard an attachment you control. I will discard to the sea, And this one is, while you are engaged with Umbar Captain, characters you control cannot attack ship enemies. But also that readies Sam and adds a resource to Mablung, and readies Gandalf via Faramir. And Sam readying gets +1 willpower. And the second card of staging is Rough Waters. So I've added 2 threat to the staging area. I am making 20 progress. I could possibly make... yeah, I could make even more. So... just to kind of make the point, if I use Naya to ready this Errand Rider, and why not the Master of the Forge? See if I can find another attachment that I don't need. Shuffle. Do I have Dwarven Tombs in this deck? No. Then there's no point in pulling back Elven Light, because all my Elrond's Councils are already in the discard pile. This is the wrong discard pile. But, yeah, I could... if I had an Elrond's Council left, then I could pull back Elven Light to draw another card, and if I drew another Elrond's Council, then that would slightly improve my score. But as it is, there's no point in me doing that. However, just in the interests of showing off, I can transfer a resource to Galdor, and then pay 2 for the Evening Star. Action. Place 2 progress on any location. Resolve that effect again for each copy of the Evening Star currently in your discard pile. You may choose different targets. So in my discard pile, there is 1 additional copy of the Evening Star. So I resolve this twice. I place 4 total progress. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and use Asphamoth to put the 3rd one on the Rough Waters. So 2 less threat in the staging area, and this obviously would be softened up if the game was actually continuing, but it's not, because I make 22 progress out of the 10 that I need and win the quest. With a fairly ridiculously good score, actually. This is not a particularly difficult quest. My loss on the first attempt was honestly due to... I mean, it was a reasonable decision, I think, on general principles. It's good to get a foothold over the encounter deck early on, potentially by doing something like taking an undefended attack, slight risk. But given that this quest is pretty easy, it probably wasn't a great idea. Because I could have easily managed without taking that risk, just like this. I mean, I could have gone through this quest and never engaged a ship. I chose to engage that scouting ship when I really didn't need to. And of course, if the game had continued a bit longer, I might have had some more problems with these 4 Corsair enemies. On the other hand, maybe not. If the game had been continuing, I may not have done the thing with the Errand Rider, and well, in fact, I wouldn't have done the thing with the Errand Rider, Galdor, Evening Star. I could have used Naya to actually get some more combat actions, and I would have still had the extra resource to play Anchor Watch, potentially defend with an exhausted character. But it's fine. I have lost my pursuers and win the game, and these Corsairs who have boarded my ships don't matter anymore, of course. So, thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you for watching again, and goodbye.